What if I told you that Sally Field, at 78 years old, just revealed something about Robin Williams that not only changes how we see Mrs. Doubtfire, but also how we remember the man behind the laughter? She kept this truth hidden for decades, and when you hear it, you'll never watch their movie the same way again. Sally Field's story didn't begin like a typical Hollywood fairy tale. She was born in Pasadena, California in 1946, into a family where the spotlight wasn't just admired, it was expected. Her mother was an actress, her stepfather a stuntman. From the very beginning, show business wasn't a dream for Sally, it was the air she breathed. By the time she was barely out of her teens, she was already a national sweetheart. Millions of viewers tuned in to watch her in Gidget, a perky little sitcom about a teenager navigating love and life on the California coast. She was cute, charming, relatable, and America fell in love instantly. Overnight, Sally Field wasn't just another actress, she was a household name. And then came the flying nun. Dressed in a habit with wings that literally let her soar through the air, she became one of the most recognizable faces on television. The show was whimsical, innocent, even silly. But it worked. People adored her. But here's the dark twist most viewers never saw. Behind that smile, Sally was suffocating. She once admitted that while the world saw the happy little nun, she felt trapped inside a role that reduced her to nothing more than a gimmick. The spotlight that should have felt like a blessing felt instead like a cage. She wasn't just playing a character on screen, she was being typecast in real life. Producers didn't see a young woman capable of dramatic depth or emotional complexity. They saw a pretty face who could carry a sitcom. Sally realized she was at risk of being locked forever in Hollywood's most dangerous trap, being lovable, but never respected. Most actors in her position would have stayed quiet, cashing in on the fame while it lasted. But Sally Field was different. She wanted more than applause. She wanted authenticity. So she did something almost unheard of for a rising TV star in the 1970s. She disappeared from the comedy circuit and threw herself into the grueling world of method acting. She trained under Lee Strasberg, the legendary teacher whose students included Marlon Brando, James Dean, and Al Pacino. Imagine the pressure. Here was America's sweetheart, the flying nun, standing in front of a man who demanded nothing less than raw emotional truth. Strasberg didn't want a sitcom smile. He wanted her soul on display, and Sally gave it to him. The transformation shocked Hollywood. People who once wrote her off as a lightweight suddenly couldn't ignore her anymore. Her defining moment came in 1976 with the TV movie Sybil, where she played a young woman battling dissociative identity disorder. The role demanded more than just acting. It demanded she become 20 different personalities, each with its own voice, its own pain, its own broken history. And she nailed it. Sally's performance wasn't just good, it was devastating. Critics who once mocked her cried in their reviews. The performance won her an Emmy, but more importantly, it shattered the glass box Hollywood had tried to keep her in. In one role, Sally Field burned her old image to the ground. The bubbly nun, gone. The girl next door surfer from Gidget, gone. What remained was something nobody expected, one of the most fearless actresses of her generation. By the late 1970s, Sally Field was no longer just the girl America recognized. She had become the woman Hollywood could not ignore. Her career reached a boiling point with Norma Rae in 1979. She played a Southern textile worker who stands up to her bosses and fights for the rights of her fellow workers. The role was gritty, sweaty, raw. It wasn't glamorous Hollywood, it was real America. When Sally held up that union sign in the film, it wasn't just a character moment. It was a declaration of who she was becoming. This wasn't a sitcom actress anymore. This was a woman willing to fight for truth on screen. The performance won her first Academy Award, and it changed the way Hollywood looked at her forever. And yet, Sally didn't stop there. Just 5 years later, she stunned critics again with Places in the Heart, a story set in the Great Depression where she played a widowed mother struggling to save her farm and family. Her portrayal was heartbreaking, filled with quiet resilience and ferocious love. It earned her a second Oscar. At that point, Sally Field wasn't just an actress, she was royalty. But what made her different from so many Hollywood stars of her time was that she carried her crown like a rebel. She wasn't chasing fame for fame's sake. She wanted to break the rules, to prove that women could be complicated, messy, imperfect, and still powerful on screen. And in between those Oscar wins, she refused to be boxed in. She took roles in blockbusters like Smokey and the Bandit, A Wild Ride alongside Burt Reynolds, and later melted hearts in Steel Magnolias, Mrs. Doubtfire, and Forrest Gump. Each performance was different, unpredictable, unforgettable. But behind the gold statues, the critical acclaim, and the blockbuster hits, there was still a woman searching for something Hollywood couldn't give her: stability, love, and a sense of home. Sally's personal life was as dramatic as any role she ever played. She married young Stephen Craig in 1968, hoping for the kind of steady life that might anchor her as fame grew more chaotic. They had 2 sons together, Peter and Eli. But the marriage couldn't survive the pressures of Hollywood and ended in divorce just a few years later. Then came the romance that tabloids couldn't get enough of: her fiery on and off relationship with Burt Reynolds. On screen, their chemistry in Smokey and the Bandit was electric. Off screen, it was even more intense. They fought hard, loved hard, and lived in the glare of paparazzi flashbulbs. Burt himself later admitted that Sally was the one that got away. But Sally saw the cracks behind the glamour. Burt's charm, his ego, his demons, they clashed with her need for something more stable. She cared for him deeply, but she also knew that being tied to him would mean losing herself. Their breakup was public, messy, and unforgettable. And though fans adored the idea of them as Hollywood's golden couple, Sally walked away. It was a decision that shaped the rest of her life. In 1984, she tried again, marrying producer Alan Greisman, with whom she had her youngest son, Sam. But even that marriage eventually fell apart. Through it all, one constant remained: Sally's devotion to her children. She fought to give them a life that wasn't swallowed whole by Hollywood. Her oldest son, Peter, went on to become a respected screenwriter. Eli, a filmmaker, and Sam, who came out as gay, became one of Sally's greatest inspirations. She stood by him proudly, speaking out for LGBTQ+ rights long before it was common in Hollywood. Her personal life may have been marked by heartbreak, divorce, and high-profile romances, but it also revealed something extraordinary: Sally Field's resilience. She could endure scandal, heartbreak, and the crushing weight of Hollywood expectations, and still show up not just as an actress, but as a mother, an advocate, and a woman who refused to be defined by anyone but herself. Now at 78, Sally finally admitted what she'd carried all these years. I really loved him, but it wasn't romance. It was more complicated than that. She described Robin as a whirlwind. Hilarious one moment, heartbreakingly tender the next. He'd make you laugh until your stomach hurt, then shatter your heart with one quiet, gentle remark. But Sally also noticed what few dared to say out loud. Beneath Robin's genius, there was a shadow. I could see the sadness, even when he was making everyone laugh, she admitted. And here's the part that haunts her. She regrets not saying more, not reaching out more, not reminding him of how deeply loved he truly was. Her confession isn't just about Robin Williams. It's about the things we all leave unsaid. She misses him terribly, but she also knows the silence between them will always linger. In her words, Robin wasn't just a comedian. He was the clown and the poet, the whirlwind and the stillness. Sally Field's truth about Robin Williams isn't just a Hollywood story, it's a human one. It's a reminder that behind the brightest laughter, there can be unseen pain. And it's a call to all of us. Say the words you're holding back, tell people what they mean to you, before it's too late. Because sometimes love and honesty are the greatest roles we'll ever play.